Wonder Egg Priority is an anime that revolves around sensitive human emotions and events that trigger them. It also portrays the tragedy of becoming a victim of other people's selfishness. And considering how it uses real action to portray the symbolism, it's about time we do a top 10 Wonder Egg Priority Moments video. So brace yourself, people, the top 3 moments might just break your heart. Now before we start, make sure you have pressed the like and subscribe button. Alright, let's begin! Starting from number 10, the first one on our list is... Autoeye clears her doubts and braces herself. As Autoeye learns the truth about why Rika is trying to bring her dead friend back, she feels emotionally overwhelmed, but because of it, she also realizes why it was Rika's Wonder Egg that took priority. Ai still resents her dead friend because she never talked to her before committing suicide. However, after becoming conscious of it, she braces herself, dashes forward towards the traumatic creature they have to destroy. She yells out loud and utterly destroys it. Ai had overcome the doubts in her mind, and now she was prepared to kill all of those adversaries together with Rika. Number 9. Otoai speaks her mind off. The adversary in this scenario was a school coach who kept on and on about how the coach's words are absolute, and every student has no choice but to keep following them, because they don't know what else they can do otherwise. It's out of love that they abuse the students, even if it means breaking the students' confidence, their will, and smothering them with fear. Otoai had just about enough of this nonsense. She starts speaking her mind off, telling the Wonder Girls how she is just looking for attention, and loudly yells that all this is just abuse. Ai becomes real mad, and literally obliterates the stupid coach. Number 8. Otoai realizes she has to fight. After losing her friend, Otoai had many regrets. She couldn't do what her friend wanted her to do. She couldn't stop the bullies from bullying her friend either because she was afraid. She was always afraid. She was living her life in fear. And now that things were happening in front of her and there was actually a physical representation of them, she realizes she is done living in fear. She has to fight, and she is done pretending not to see all of it happening. She prepares herself, summoning a symbolic weapon brimming with energy, and just like that, she ends the trauma for yet another Wonder Girl. Even for a Wonder Egg scenario, this was rather an unusual event. Neru kept destroying the C-Note evils, but there was no end to them. And as this was happening, the girls from the Wonder Eggs kept sharing her philosophy on how women should just kill themselves when they are the prettiest in their lives. While she was sharing her philosophy, she also kept praising her long and smooth hair. This was all pretty odd, and Neru realized that. She understood that the enemy in this episode is the long and smooth hair, so she takes aim at the young lady's hair and ruins it. Good job, Neru. Number 6. Otoai starting to see the trauma. In this scenario, there was a girl who was capable of seeing things that others can't, which is why her entire life was a nightmare. Nobody else believed her. She was always alone, both in how she saw the world and how it affected her mentally, which eventually drove her to suicide. And now that Autoeye was protecting her, the same thing was happening. I also couldn't see the trauma of this girl. However, she coincidentally comes in contact with the girl's beads and suddenly the trauma is visible. Otto fights, defeats it, and ends the nightmare for the girl she had to protect. Number 5. Neru and Kotobuki solve the problem. As both Neru and Kotobuki talk about things, it was only a matter of time before the adversaries in this scenario would appear. And this time, it was a self-proclaimed genius who starts his introduction by bragging about how he is a famous world genius. Little did he know, he was dealing with two geniuses who are even above him in terms of raw intellect. He gives them a difficult math problem with 0% success rate. Be that as it may, both Neru and Kotobuki didn't even flinch. They bluntly stated their answer and ended the world famous genius right there and then.
Dr. なんとかプライドだけは高いのね。プライドチキン。こいつら見て見ぬふりじゃない。
アンチだ。君たちはこの世界で目立ちすぎたということだよ。
Number 4. Our greatest objective is Wonder Egg priority. The 6th episode introduced a new kind of see-no evil. They are an accumulation of envy and spite, which in turns makes them haters. And compared to the previous see-no evils, fighting these was a little more complicated, as haters are strong because they exist in numbers. So as both Aka and Ura-Aka explains this, they also state how society is built on report, contact, and consult. They then ask the girls to say it out loud, and so it finally happens. Just then, all 4 of the girls simultaneously state one sentence, and their greatest objective is Wonder Egg priority.
声に出して共有しろ。
私たちの最大の目的はワンダーエッグプライオリティ。
Number 3. Rika overcomes the temptation of death. While fighting to end other people's trauma, one may end up getting caught up in theirs too. Rika was having a tough time. Her mother didn't respect her questions about her dad, and she felt frustrated at how she doesn't even remember the face of the dad she respects. Rika came face to face with an interesting scenario where the adversary as well as the victim had strange philosophies. It is in death that one becomes one with the cosmos, and even though Rika knew how ridiculous this all sounded, she still felt ready to end her own life. But then, her friends interfere, and her pet, Manen, comes out to protect her too. It takes a few moments, but Rika comes back to her senses and starts fighting back. Number 2. Momo ends Korus' trauma. There are many reasons that could trigger a young adolescent, especially a girl, to suicide, and some of them are enough to just break your heart. As it was with Korus' story, Koru asked the Kendo Club advisor for advice, thinking that he is a good teacher, but the despicable guy took advantage of the fact that they were alone and raped Koru. Koru became pregnant and ended up committing suicide. The rage Momoe felt was insane. She was ready to annihilate this scum from the face of existence, and she did just that. After that, both Koru and Momoe had one last conversation, which ended with Koru kissing Momoe and disappearing just like that. Number 1. Both Momoe and I simultaneously end the traumas. Two integral scenarios are taking place simultaneously. The first one is with both Autoeye and Kawaii Rika have to save the two fangirls from their adversaries, but the enemies this time can't be defeated through ordinary means, since it also happens to be a fangirl, or should I say a fan hag. And the other is where a girl named Miwa who kept getting molested by the same guy every day until one day she shouted and had him get beaten by everyone at the scene. However, that person was the executive of the company her father worked at. Her father was fired and her mother blamed her by asking why couldn't she just bear it. This was a painful story, and the adversary in this case is that exact person. Momoe is enraged. Miwa uses herself as bait while Momoe obliterates this garbage of a person. On the other hand, Ai defeats the enemy while the two fangirls play their idol song. This happens at the same time. Both Momoe as well as Ai and Rika defeat the adversaries for good. So there you go guys, these were my picks for the top 10 Wonder Egg priority moments. This is a pretty emotionally captivating anime, so feel free to share your fresh thoughts on these moments in the comment section down below. Now before you go, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It is always appreciated. I have also made a video which explains what Wonder Egg priority is about, so feel free to check it out in the link that will be in the description box down below. Well then, I'll see you guys on my next video.